Thank you. So I get to do the short piece this time. Thank y'all again. I don't have much to say because y'all already heard my intro. I love the crash course because I'm the Wall Street artist. I didn't say that part clearly. I'm Robert Newman. I had 8.5 years in finance and accounting and like proper investment management type of work in New York. And then my entire life I've been an artist. There's a very healthy and complementary balance between communication, culture, and candor, and where I live at, which is called capitalism, right? So when we talk about controlling the narrative, NIL needed to be first because our country is built off of contracts, agreements, and the understanding of language. After we have that understanding of language and where and how we really need to quote unquote play or start the game, we need to figure out how to stay in the game, strategize, be resilient, build community, and continue to innovate in a million different ways. So with that, I will pass it over to Sydney and our lovely panelists to have our controlling the narrative panel discussion. Narrated by Lunacy, Black-owned media entertainment, Black-owned media equity, sustainability institute.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney Falconer. I'm the community manager over at Lunacy. He said it, but I'm gonna just reiterate it. Black-owned Media Equity Sustainability Institute. And what we are doing over there is being the collective support for Black-owned media publishers. We definitely step into a diverse space, but we're encouraging and empowering the engagement, the exposure, and the business opportunity for our Black-owned media publishers. And it's exciting. I'm able to have one of our own publishers in the building today with me, but I'm really excited to bring these unique individuals to you today. They're in their own right and in their own lane doing some really powerful things. So I would definitely love to, let's start it off with introducing each one of you. Let's take it over to our left, over here with Dante. Give everybody your team.
Hello all. I am D Muse. Real last name just happen to be in arts. I am a gallerist, an entrepreneur, artist business coach, specializing in sales, marketing, branding, and positioning for visual artists primarily. I hail from New Jersey and glad to come across the water to spend time with you tonight.
Thank you. Let's have it over.
All right, it's across the water. My name is Eric Lockley. I'm a writer, producer, actor. Overall, I enjoy storytelling and community building. I'm a founder of and co-leader of 2 Harlem-based theater companies. And yeah, I just love being able to empower people of color, primarily Black people, to have our voices heard and to explore our uniqueness and our complexity on our own terms. I'm originally from Maryland. From Randallstown specifically.
My name is Chuck Creekler. I'm the CEO and co-founder of allhiphop.com, art school dropout, a lot of other things as well, but All Hip Hop's one of the premier and pioneering forces in hip hop media, urban media, and one of the original disruptors as a early adopter of digital technology. I myself have been a number of things, but a journalist is what I went to college for, and so and I was also, like I mentioned, an art student. So a lot of my talents collided online, and that's why I think, in part, why all hip hop's been so influential for so long.
Amazing. So I'm going to start it off here with you guys. I was just telling one of our panelists over here, I want to know what your mission is. If you were able to put your mission into one line, because as we're engaging, I want you all to be intentional about how you engage with each of these individuals, even myself. And just for the example's sake, I would say my one-line mission is to create space for people to feel seen and heard. So when you think about that question, or even just that thought of like who you are, what you're meant to do on this world, on this planet, what would you say is your one-line mission?
I hope artists monetize their creativity without compromising their art.
Love that.
To encourage and uplift joy and celebration as an act of resistance for Black people.
But can you read that to me? I don't know.
Oh!
He said that was the mouthful.
I had to know, I had to write it down, it's like, I feel him,
I can
easy and her.
To encourage joy and celebration and playfulness as an act of resistance, specifically for Black people.
I don't have one. To take over the world.
Anybody ready to be empowered? Head on over to Chef. Okay, so I know we've all started in our own places, in our own stages in life, and I definitely want to give spotlight to those first initial moments of how did you get started and where was that motivation to actually propel you forward in your career? Loaded question, I know.
Where did I get started? I mean, I would say family. You know, I think I started. As a little kid, watched Michael Jackson videos and was like, I love this, and started imitating Michael Jackson. And so I actually performed at the Apollo when I was 7 years old at the amateur night, and that was like incredible on many levels. But now I live in Harlem and I live, a few blocks from the Apollo. But to imagine that at 7 years old, I had this experience where something I watched on TV that was the height of Black excellence to a certain extent, you know what I mean? The Apollo was like such a huge thing, and to have been able to be on that stage at 7 years old was pretty profound.
Did
And I
you see
think,
Michael Jackson?
no, well, I danced. I danced to Jam by Michael Jackson. So it was me. I didn't sing, but it was lots of movement, splits and kicks and all that stuff. So that and being able to be encouraged by my family to do that and celebrated for that, I think was hugely influential. And then from there, just the performance bug and the ability to change a space with your body, your voice, your being became profoundly. I became like invested in that. Like that's the way. That's a mission. Yeah.
How did I start? I mean, honestly, that's so hard to answer. But I began, I would say, in college primarily, where all the things I was passionate about was, getting collided. I used to love comic books. I still do. Comic books, hip hop, art, all kind of came together. I used to be an artist, like a rapper, and so that was a part of it. So all my love of media was really, on a college level. So college was just basically a vehicle for me to do everything I loved. And then from there, just really loving the internet space and finding out that it was almost like a Wild West before anyone really was into it. And that's pretty much it. And we do have something in common. I won a Michael Jackson contest.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I
There we
didn't
go.
sing. I dressed as Michael Jackson.
Nice. Was it a costume contest? Sorry, not
It was costume contest. I had a glove and a beaded jacket. No Jerry curl.
At this point, I may have to get a competition between the two. Good news.
Listen, that's 3 for 3, but I'm not in a competition. Yeah, I did a little talent contest at the YMCA and won $25 when I was 5.
Got y'all paid.
So how I get started and which part? I've dabbled in a bunch of different things. To where I landed in visual art. I was in music first, coming over, and I wanted to start a space that I could control, mess around in nightclubs and, packing those out and seeing how we were treated and, liquor prices up higher on our nights and all types of different, abuses that I've noticed and all that. Like, we need our own different thing going on. And I sought out to originally have like my own performance space, but and going to do a music video with some artists, some music artists with back when it was 2016, so this was with Fetty Wap and it was jumping back then. I went to get some custom sneakers made from an artist friend of mine because I wanted to have something that was one-on-one. Like, I don't care how much money you got, you ain't gonna have these, you know what I mean? You go spend $1,000 on your sneakers, you ain't gonna have these, one pair. And I had the conversation with my artist friend during that time. He was looking over at the gallery. So I was like, oh, we can, open up one together. And he ended up bailing out, but by then I had already, shook hands and kissed babies and, negotiated leases and all types of stuff. So I'm like, I was going. But yeah, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. So I had to go and figure it out at that point. So that's how I got started. And I just dove in and, engulfed me from there.
That's amazing. So as we look at so many people that are getting into their entrepreneurial bag and they're starting out their journey, I definitely want to give you the opportunity to speak to some of the tips that you would encourage for some of these beginners or even people who are in the establishing part of their career. What tips do you say when you're saying, how do you build your brand to claim that narrative within their career?
The way you started around mission and asking about a mission, I think is so crucial. I mean, having started a theater company, one of the first things we did was create a mission statement and a vision statement, and that's the North Star. That is the way to know, are we doing what we sought to do, so I think one of the first things as an entrepreneur, as an artist, as someone that wants to, or not even wants, that is claiming your space and saying, hey, I want people to acknowledge and celebrate me for this, knowing the why and knowing what is your North Star, what's your mission, what's guiding you. I think that's essential. And then an additional thing I'd say is being able to take account or regularly take account of your resources. Who do you know? How much money do you have? How much money do you want to invest in this thing? What is it about this month that means, I do need to pay for a lawyer, or I do need to pay for a communication, ads on Instagram, I don't know, whatever it is, to boost posts. So being able to consider your resources and regroup constantly around that and not just decide that, because last year this is what I needed to do, or these were my resources, I need to be doing the same thing this year. So those are two tips
I love that, especially because we were just speaking about what it looks like to be investing in ourselves and some of those sacrifices that do need to be made. So I'm glad that you mentioned some other ones other than the lawyer, but the communications person, that plan that you put in place, definitely. Mr. Disruptor, Chuck, now you started this early, so how did you create your own lane and build your narrative when stepping into the digital space?
Well, it's a good question. It's interesting. I always looked at my life like a movie, and then I was telling my story even before when I was little. So I have almost my whole life is in my house. I have my old comics I used to draw. I have almost everything that I've ever done in life. So I always figured I would somehow, at some point, need that. I would, it'd be in a museum or it'd be in a movie. I would just need it. So with that thought in mind, when All Hip Hop started, we knew that we were writing our story as we went along, and so knowing that and living it is two different things. You're not living just to live. You're living because you know that you're building a legacy. And so, so to answer that question, what was that question?
How did you, in creating your own lane, how did you control your narrative?
Yeah, I think that first of all Hip Hop owns its platform. We own our platform, and back then we really owned our platform. We had servers and all of those things. So you couldn't say you can't do that, or you couldn't. There were no censors like with Instagram or whatever. So we were wild, we were crazy, and we were able to say whatever we wanted. We could meet with whoever we wanted. We could sit down with Farrakhan, and we could not be, banished from anything. And so, with that thought in mind, and our website tagline at that particular time was the world's most dangerous website. And so we lived by that, and we just continue to live in that way as outliers, outsiders, the Morlocks, like all the things. Until the industry gave you a big hug and like, hey, come here, let's just have a conversation. And then you kind of calm down as you become friends with people and things like that, but that's always been our mind state. So with that in mind, my business partner's name is Grouchy Greg, and still is. My name is Jigsaw, but I always wanted my hometown to know my name was on TV or whatever, so I never used a full-blown hip-hop name. But that said, we've just always been telling not only our story, but the stories of others. So our story is infused within major celebrities like Wiz Khalifa, for example, and other people, So when we go tell our story, we can pull a Wiz or a Busta or a Russell Simmons or whoever who we've been interwoven with their stories.
That's amazing. Now, of course, we understand the highs of being an entrepreneur and being your own business owners, but you almost started to tap into it. So you were talking about the gallery. What were some of the challenges that you had to navigate, and what are some of those key things that you definitely want to highlight for the audience right now?
Well, if you're running a for-profit art gallery, you have a brick and mortar, you have overhead. So that's first and foremost for an entrepreneur that has stationary place. You have employees, so it's always, and then you're talking about in the arts as well. You have that fine line of integrity, and then not doing something just for the buck, but you also got to keep the lights on as well too. So figuring out that balance and what really works for you, and in terms of us starting that and carving on the lane for the question that you had asked, really was first figuring out what I stood for and kind of what I wanted to be known that I stood for, what I was like unapologetic about, like pay the artist is one of the things, but having that space for us and being able to control what it is that we do so we can tell our own story, so I can have anything that I want to have, in my space. So I sought out to have an alternative to nightclub. I started doing pay parties when I was 11 years old, like literally great graduation. So I kind of got partied out,
Wow.
Quick, college, all that was party, started DJing at 12, So got into a lot of stuff and kind of, been there and seen all that. So like, what can I do different? I'm tired of the club, what can we have? So man, yeah, so it was like, then it was a house where we had just moved out of the project into a house up the street, and the basement was unfinished and it was huge. So, my dad let me rock out for a little bit to start getting into the crazy. Then we had to move to the hall and all of that with the parties and stuff. But yeah, I was a kid. Very supportive parents.
That's what you need.
Very supportive parents. I appreciate that. But just making sure that I could do whatever it is that I wanted to do because I enjoyed it. If I wanted to hear poetry, bam, we're gonna have spoken word and live painting night. We have wine all the time with all our events because it's art. It's always in the art world. All right, we're gonna have black wine tastings every month. So we highlight, winemakers that look like us. And everything was behind us looking good, us having a space where you can come in, not get patted down at the door and everybody feel comfortable and know ain't nothing gonna happen because that's not even the vibe there, creating that space. So that's kind of how I did. I had envisioned what I wanted for myself, and then I sought to produce that, and then other people enjoy that with me, basically.
But I understand all of our industries are ever evolving, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with some of these trends, even some of these tools. What are some of the things the trends that you're looking at that's like, how does this shift what I'm doing within my business, but also maintain what you're able to you to maintain your brand? I
I
would
would say
definitely.
AI. Yeah, AI is definitely the real disruptive force right now with, in the art community, writing, in media.
My bad, sorry, I'll go back and cut it. The siren got me. Can you
Okay.
start over?
I'm gonna tell you something.
Yeah, I guess you wanna.
With
Was there a
AI,
question?
just with AI.
Oh,
too.
yeah, I was just, AI is definitely I would say the primary disruptive entity right now in the tech world, and I think that it's something that we will be forced to embrace. And I think that if you're a real creative, it's probably more of an amazing tool than something to be scared of. But I definitely think that we have to really consider what this means to us and our humanity, not only just the people who are going to scam or use it for bad, but even just the way we use it ourselves. Someone showed me or let me hear a score that just sounds like this incredible orchestra, choir, and it's like AI. I'm just like, wow, like what is this going to be for the future if this is where we are right now?
2024. I'm a proponent of AI. I love it. I also understand.
What aspect of it?
Prompt engineering.
Okay.
I'm a control freak and I love being able to create the prompts and it creates everything that I need. And understanding how you word something, it'll generate exactly what you need, but you have to be specific. So when I tell people AI can be bad, but it's how you use it that will be beneficial to you.
Yeah.
So I know you were talking about how you're creating content. What are some tools that you're even looking at to build your brand?
Sorry, I was still on AI. I was like prepared. I was ready to go.
Well, you can, AI is everywhere.
Yeah, I'll try to address both things. In terms of AI, my biggest concern is just that the genuine artist in artistry, there's something human about it, the need to tell a story. And it is very scary to imagine that the need could be erased from art. And that I think is what, so I actually, in 2022, and I wish I had done it last summer, but in 2022 I had a solo show called We the People, Not the Bots. And I played a time traveler from the year 2136 who came back in time to warn us about the bots of the future who said it's D-Day on humanity. So my character came back through time and wanted to learn from 2022 and from different time periods, because he was a time traveler. What was it about humanity? How could we save ourselves? And what the time traveler discovered is that we can change, that we can transform, that we have feelings, that we have needs. And I think that art without a need to speak is a scary and ridiculous thing. And that it bothers me. Because it's like, that's not art. What is that? And I think art comes from a place of need. I have to get this out. This will heal me. This will release me. And that is what I am so nervous about AI being in an art space, even being in that conversation. It's like, why would we allow for this to happen? So that's why I was very ready for the AI conversation, because I just think it's a very scary thing. And I do think that there is some good that can be used, but I think I'm personally in the space of, if I use it at all, am I endorsing that the good and the bad? You know what I mean? Can I use it for the good and not accept that just by using it, I'm endorsing that, all right, well, somebody's going to, the other side. That's like, yeah, you're right, and that's the other thing, is adaptive that. Yeah, exactly. So I've been saying, all right, let's open up this Chat GPT and see what Chat GPT talking about.
Now let me say this. When we consider how fast our industries are evolving and how much we have to do, especially as entrepreneurs, you start wearing so many of the hats that it becomes, I have to think smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And you start considering social media is a main component to a lot of our industries. Are you really going to sit here
Right.
and
With the
be
caption.
the social media manager? Are you going to be the producer? Are you going to be everything that the business needs at once? Are you going to understand I need to tap into community? And sometimes that AI should be in the community too.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
I definitely, when I consider it, I get what you're saying, and I want the creativity to stay. But I find as humans, that's our responsibility to make sure that we keep that authenticity in the space.
And that's our responsibility to make sure that AI doesn't take that space. Because I'm fine with AI telling me, how to make my interview, techniques better. But don't tell me, don't create a score. You know what I mean? That's not you, but but I don't want AI making my art. But but it's easier to not pay AI than to pay people, and that's the greed and the that's a whole other thing. But that's what bothers me about putting it into the art spaces, where we're trying the idea of being able to replace humans.
Right. You found your niche with identifying creative ways to connect to the community still, even in a time where artificial intelligence is finding its way into every single community and event space. What are some of the things that keep you authentic with the community that you're building?
There's only one me, so where else can you go to find that? AI is definitely inspirational a lot of times. I use it and it's actually made me a more effective communicator as well. I'm learning prompts and stuff like that. And I find a lot of times I use it to organize thoughts often, come up with my outline for my books. I just use it for the outline for my last 2 books. I'm on my 5th book now. Took me a lot faster than the first few, just doing it all manual. But I found that in trying to describe what I wanted to do, I was becoming clearer on what I wanted to do. Because I kind of was like, all right, I'm all over the place, let me, figure this out. And as I'm typing it in, I'm filling the next line, okay, let's do this, but then take this and do this. And it's actually becoming clearer as I'm trying to tell it what it is to do. So by the time I'm getting through the prompt, I'm like, I'm getting there and did it myself, right there in the prompt. So that's happened a handful of times. So I appreciate that though, because it's teaching me, like myself, like Jim was talking about being autodidactic earlier. That was one of those situations right there. So I've been utilizing it for what I can from it. I definitely do have the side where it has taken money out of some people's pockets. So I had an entrepreneur get excited about creating his coloring book, and as soon as he was saying that, like, I already knew how he went about it. So an artist can get paid that went through the years that it takes to build their skill sets to be an illustrator, and he just went in AI and he's like, oh yeah, I just bought this. And at first he's like, yeah, I got on a free trial. And did as much as I could on the free trial or whatever, and then, so I'm like, so you just went in free, you ain't even paid them for the joint, and you produce this book. So I'm happy that, now you have a product that you can go and sell and make some money do things. I don't want to knock you for that, but I am, as an artist, kind of feeling some type of way on the back end as well. I'm not going to have a conversation with you about it, do what it is that you do, but it's like,
That's kind of corny.
yeah.
Now, does it alter how you create? Because you do tap into the AI space just a tad bit.
So, I mean, and again, so that's, and writing was my first medium anyway, and poetry, creative writing and screenwriting as well. So I've utilized it in those sense, but you can tell whether it's a person doing it or a person's not doing it. And then particularly when you write in your voice, that's not him. That's how the teachers used to catch you way before. Then it was like, yeah, this don't sound nothing like you. Like, I understand. So it's definitely,
Any last,
again,
like, where I would
it might make you think
Right.
of a portion that you might not have thought of. You're like, oh, that's cool. Now let me go and expound on that, in my own voice. So I'll definitely use it to stimulate more, ideas, and definitely help keeping me organized and maybe come up with like some subtopics and suggestions and things like that. You just go through and feel what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what works for each project. So you utilize it as a tool. But and definitely people can just kind of take your stuff and run and do something and see what's yours and it's not anyway. So, but as far as like for visual art, I've tried to use, I think, one of the Da Vinci programs to simulate an idea for a mural. And I didn't like any of the images that came up, but and actually I think it was ChatGPT. I put in some ideas for a prompt and it gave me some words, and it's like, okay, now I have to put these words into visual, but it definitely helps stimulate some ideas. Okay, now this is what I'm going to paint, because this is the theme that I put in. I might put some ideas under this theme for this ethnicity or whatever the case may be, type of thing. And then it might give me 10 different ideas. And I'm like, nah, that's whack. Okay, here you go. How can I make this real life type of thing? So I've used it like that. So yeah, it can definitely be helpful.
Of course. I'm about to drop a little sprinkle drugs for you all. There are so many tools online that allow you to take larger content and create your social media content. So you're not spending so much time with this. There's this app called Get Munch. You pretty much, I put, yes, Get, G-E-T, Munch, M-U-N-C-H. You can put in a 10-minute video and it will give you 10 separate videos, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. It'll even put the closed captions on there for you. Yes, this is, come on.
Is this a utilization of AI?
This is AI.
Yeah.
It is Get
That's
Munch.
good AI.
Get
Right.
Munch. But this is what helps you utilize and maximize your time. So I definitely, as we discuss AI and we look at the beneficial side of it, and we look at how it takes away authenticity, I also want you guys to take some things that could benefit you when going through your day-to-day. You do have your free trial, so get your content, but after that, it is $49 a month. So, no, but then
That's
after,
expensive.
but wait, now as
And
somebody
making money off
who,
your content is a
Right. Now there's other apps.
of course, there's other apps, but now I wanna show you guys how we think not harder, but smarter, and how we also think in how am I gonna utilize this month wisely. You take, if you're gonna spend that $49, take that month and say, let me get all of my videos done within this weekend. Let me create all weekend, put in on the end of, at the end of Sunday, put all these videos in, and now I get my videos. So now, $49 just lasted you 3 to 5 months. Now you can cancel the subscription and keep on going without it, but you already have your content. You've batch created, and now there's content for all these different topics, all these different subjects, all related to what you do. I know this is what we're saying, oh, it's too much, but you must invest in yourself. You have to be the first person that says, I'm gonna take that risk for myself. So, I understand, but I just want to drop that gem in real quick to give y'all something to sprinkle. Get money. Look, sprinkle, and you know what? I also need to let them know, get much, look at me, I got y'all.
Right.
But now when we're thinking about our success, oh no, I couldn't let that ride without more people knowing about it. The moment I found this, I gotta tell everybody about this. Everybody needs to know. Now, speaking of everybody needs to know, I know I tapped into my mentors and my support system. What was that like for you guys? How were you able to network and improve your own brands and understand what your voice was through your mentors or even just your supporters. Eric, let me start with you. I know, I threw the hardest questions to you, but I know you can handle it.
I don't know, as in I have no idea, but I think it's levels. Whenever I hear mentor, I have a specific thing in mind.
Take
And I
us
think,
there.
yeah, I'll take you. I'll take you there.
Your story.
And oftentimes I think of when I was a kid, I grew up and I had both parents in the household, and I heard mentor, and oftentimes it meant for people who did not have a father figure, honestly, when I was growing up. And so something about that word, truly, I'm like, oh, I wasn't seeking one. I didn't have one. There's something that feels, but there are plenty of people that came before me in my industry that have poured back into me and have been an example of, what leadership can be, and Black men that I think of specifically when I think of like some people that I know, like I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you. Woody King Jr., who has the new Federal Theater. There's a gentleman, Glenn Singleton, who runs an organization about courageous conversations that does diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Who, I spent one weekend with him, and seeing how he led a room was really impactful and a reminder of Black men taking up space and with grace and love and kindness, and still like power and commanding things in a respectful way. So that those are two people that in very different ways I really looked at and said in a moment's time, and I said, wow, it's possible to exist in a theatrical space in a leadership role as a Black man and lead in a way that really excites me and feels like it sees a different type of leadership than is often we see in the media. I'll leave it there.
I love that your mentorship came by someone leading by example.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not what you're hearing or what you're being told, it's more about what you see.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you're able to relate to, so you know it's possible to apply it to whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
I love that experience. Chuck?
Yeah, so I got a lot of my mentors through books because, we didn't have any mentors, particularly in business. So I'm not talking about what you mentioned, father figure, but I mean business mentors or creative mentors. If anything, creatively, my art teacher, who was a Black man, he was a mentor to me, but that was, in school. But, people like Earl Graves, who was the founder of Black Enterprise, was a mentor in my head, who honored us early in our careers with an award from that company. But other people too, I come from the mobile era, so people like Russell Simmons, even Steve Jobs, is one who I would consider a mentor, because a lot of the early all hip hop aesthetic was based a lot of in part from Apple, like Apple's when were you different or something, I forget exactly what the slogan was, but things like that. And we both read a lot. We studied the greats and learned from them that way. When we came into the industry, we were hot. So there were a lot of sharks trying to take advantage of us. So nobody really would sit and mentor you because they were so busy trying to take advantage of you. So that's part why we never really had mentors.
Was there ever a moment for you that you said, okay, it's time for me to start passing along the information that I did learn?
Oh, I've been a mentor. Yeah, to infinite people. Yeah, I've been a mentor to innumerable people. Even sometimes people I don't even remember will remind me that, I was acting as a mentor. Sometimes they're older than me, it's really, sometimes it kind of shakes me to hear them say that. Yeah. I have to go, by the way. Unfortunately, I have a train to catch. But thank you for having me, and we'll
How do we get in contact with you?
you hit me on IG, Chuck Creamer.
Chuck?
Yeah. Or Jigsaw at All Hip Hop. .com.
Jigsaw?
Yeah, JIGSAW.
Thank you for being with
All
us.
right, thank you all. Appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yes, and if you do need his contact again, we'll just follow it up again. I think we'll try to
I'm
get to
too. I'm not a part of any forum or anything. I came solely, so I think it was.
I know your birthday too.
I don't know where it
I would definitely love to leave time for you all to ask the questions of our panelists. Is there anything that you have on your chest that's like, this is a burning moment for me?
One of the initial things that well, actually, this is more like a question I guess for Robert. I was wondering if, I think because I'm hearing his expertise in finance, and I'm just wondering, is that like a shared experience with the rest of the community? Is there an open dialogue about this process that he's been an expert in? Is this something that we can access, etc. So on that subject, I think strategizing and in general, sharing information is actually not such a hard thing to do unless you're someone who thinks that you're a gatekeeper of the wellness in the media industry, or the idea of branding all together, you've got it down. So I'm just wondering, where A to Z, the reason why I pay for this baby I'm poor, I got a job, I don't spend money, I very much like to exist in poverty because it propels me to don't sleep, get it down, figure it out. But, okay, so production, branding, all these features of this event, that I discovered out of nowhere. It's like notification on Facebook. I'm like, what's going on? Because it's unusual. But, yeah. So, okay, so as it relates to some of the foundational books, maybe an easier way to break this down would be keywords that are important to know in these spaces, or books, for instance.
Well, I'm gonna also say, and just hearing from where you're coming from, sometimes you may need to think outside of the box with some of the things that you need. So sometimes you have to get creative and take your no's and find a way to make them a yes, and identify keyways. So one, I would say building your network, building a community of people who understand your needs, but also can give you different resources. In this conversation, told you about a free trial that you can tap into to create content, and in some way, create 10 videos that you can now use for a month or two to build your business. And sometimes it may get a little creative. You're creating multiple emails. I know it can get a little hectic, but until you got it, that's what you do. And there's no need to make yourself look like anybody else. Be yourself. Identify and speak that truth for yourself, that I'm not where I want to be right now, but what I'm doing right now is going to get me to where I will be excited about who I am and what I'm doing. So definitely be patient with yourself and be aggressive, be creative, and be excited about that process, because there will be a point when you tell your story because someone else needs to know that it is okay to be creative about the journey, you know?
Isn't it a failure of the idea of agency or entrepreneurship, or that you have an idea even to begin with, that you wouldn't have the A to Z, the map, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course.
It is a rendition of failure, no? To not have the play-by-play. I imagine if I were a creative business plan, it has to at least be minimum 2,000 pages. Because what I would be attempting to do is plan like day after day, like strategize, like this is what we need to accomplish over 3 months, in 2 months, like in 1 month, like every single day per the hour, like very systematic, like this must be accomplished, this you can do in 15 minutes, between these hours is this.
Well, a wonderful lesson that I continue to remind myself and anybody that is trying to accomplish tasks is that you've got to take small bites. And so I say it to myself, like, I want to get a Grammy, I want to get a Tony, I want to whatever I want to do. If I keep it as broad as that, it's not going to help me to wake up and say I can achieve it. But when I say, hey, I'll go, I'll look up an audition, or I will get in a class, or I will write this idea that I've been sitting on, and I'll spend 10 minutes writing. When you break it down into smaller bites, it always helps, no matter what the goal is. Smaller bites are more, you need to give yourself small wins. So if your win today, as I woke up, I took a shower, and I wrote for 10 minutes, if that's a win, then and if that's all you did, and that's a win, then that's better than saying, I went to work, and I had to do my 9 to 5, and I was so tired, and I watched TV, but I didn't get my 10 minutes of writing. Get your 10 minutes of writing, or whatever it is that is going to be your small win, or I cooked tonight and didn't eat out, whatever it is, and be able to celebrate that. I think that's also huge, is when you do that quote unquote small task, but it's a task. Once you do it and you complete it, be able to celebrate that and not minimize it as, well, I still got these 800 other steps before I get to where I want to be. Yeah, like
I really
purchasing this ticket today. That's
Such a
congratulations, you did that. You know what I mean? So you're pouring into yourself, and just remember that small task, that small step is gonna add up.
Right. Well, I literally don't sleep. Like I'm up for like 4 days at a time grinding. So,
Maybe sleep.
Maybe sleep is.
I don't know. Seriously, maybe I do need sleep, but I think sleep is like a waste of time. Actually, I find that over the time space that my ability to produce sharper thoughts are accelerated when I am most exhausted, and really don't want to continue. Push myself past that boundary and get there. I find myself finding new and even brighter ideas, cleaner ideas.
I will definitely challenge you to include some sleep in that equation. But I would definitely love for you to check out this movie on Netflix. I just watched it last night,
Ooh.
Book of Clarence. Check
I
it out.
literally don't watch anything. I've never. I was bored as well, and they're like no TV, no movies.
I just want to make sure if anybody else had any questions.
Yeah,
or
The Book of Clarence.
I think for me, as this is controlling your narrative, and so you talked about in the beginning doing your mission statements, doing those pieces. Okay, that's one part. Then the narrative for someone that's an emerging artist is IG is really where it's at in terms of finding out what events there are and so on. But also, I know for me, I don't utilize it in a way that could be more effective. So just in terms of your use of it, explaining how you use it effectively that can help us understand how to do that for ourselves. Because I want to come out of this with something that...
Yeah. I can offer, so I have a show that I self-producing and created called Percy's Theater, This and That. And it's silly, it's fun. I play this 70-year-old man with a big afro wig, and I interview Broadway and off-Broadway artists. And it's something fun that, once again, is aligned with my mission to create a space of joy and play for artists, for Black folks, and to uplift that. Recently, on my own personal Instagram, I used the survey. You can poll people, you can ask questions on the stories, and I said, what content that I create do you like? And I said, is it Percy's Theater, this and that? Is it, when I do vinyl because I have a vinyl collection, so every once in a while. So I polled my audience essentially on Instagram to see what they enjoyed that I do. And I had a series of probably 10 different questions. I said, when you think of Eric as an artist, do you think, who do you most think he's like? Donald Glover, Wayne Brady, blah, blah, blah. And those responses, and it was scary for me to a certain extent to see what do people think of me and is it aligned with what I think of myself. But it was really insightful to get that information. And then now, now that I have that information, I'm not completely pivoting. You know what I mean? What I want to do is still what I want to do. But now I have more information to see how far away am I from what I believed people knew me as or were seeking out of me as to what I want to do. So that I think that's a huge tool or advantage of the social media platforms now. You can really poll your audience. What do you enjoy that I do? Are you interested in this? And it's scary to hear from people, but you need people to know that they're invested in your success, and you build that audience by asking for the audience and maybe even asking of the audience. That's one.
What was the question?
She was definitely trying to understand how she can leverage social media to enhance her business.
So when you know who your target audience is, you go find them. You don't just wait for them to find you. So get active with engaging if you want engagement. So they say be the change you want to see. So you want to engage with the change, start engaging. So go to like people's stuff, comment on everybody's stuff, tag people on stuff, start to get people familiar with you so they can start to know, like, and trust you. So it ain't gonna be an overnight thing, typically we're doing it organically, but you can do it.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely focused, of course, I'm definitely focused in the business side of social media. So I handle email marketing, social media management, and how to do it on a larger scale and where businesses now want to invest in you. So when you're doing this research, making sure that you're identifying and keeping track of this information. When you're also engaging with these businesses, providing them with these updates. So say for instance, MailChimp provides you with the open rate click rate for newsletters. The open rate currently, anything above 50%, businesses want to engage with that group and that group of subscribers. You want to make sure that whatever content you're building or whoever you're engaging with, that audience, they're becoming subscribers. So now when businesses say, oh, you're able to build a community, let me start working with you, because now not only do I tap in with you and your followers, I now tap in with your trusted subscribers. Then after that, you're now thinking about, okay, the longevity of this relationship, not only on the business side, but on the personal business side with your audience. So there are so many different ways that you're able to tap in, but that's something you invest in. You invest in the brand managers like me, who, and not to pitch myself right now, but you invest, this is what we at. You invest in the brand managers like myself, who are, this is their niche, this is where that excites them, because sometimes that may not be your focus. Social media on the business side may not be your focus, and you need someone who's going to drive that for you and be that agent in the business rooms and bringing the brands to you, or bringing the audience at a larger scale to your subscriber space. Now, something that Instagram is also doing is creating subscriber communities. So something, instead of putting in your captions, link in bio, say the new trend right now is comment this so that I can DM you this. Now you're also able to see how people engage with you, and then by going into their DMs, you can now track on your own how many people actually want to engage with you and receive the information that you're providing. So there are so many different ways, and if you're not, this is too much, you have to invest in the person that's willing to do it for you.
Yeah.
So- Of course.
Yeah.
I can never access to dollars. I just live personally, there are people who will gladly pay whatever. It's historically.
Yeah.
Y'all know I'm the Sandman for today, even though I don't want to.
Sandman?
Yeah.
What does that
We
mean?
love it. Timing.
Yeah.
Timing. I love it.
I go over here,
Is this
time for it.
residence?
But I did want to remind y'all first. Thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for speaking. Thank y'all for sharing. And I want to say it one more time, just that dichotomy while I'm saying thank you. There's a command and there's a community. That's why I'm always asking myself. And I mean, I asked a little bit about command, but let me just throw it out there one more time for y'all. There's a lot of situations where y'all act like community is the answer, and you need to grow up and do it yourself. You need to double down, triple down, and be the person that like owns the situation. Because the certain question you may have, the idea, the concept, that's yours. It was given to you, you saw it, and the way that it needs to be executed is in the way of command, vision, and mission. That's
Because
why
not everybody has your vision.
Yeah.
And they will never understand what's best for you.
But when you start getting that community piece where we're here today, now that I have my vision, now that I understand what I'm trying to do, I can bring people in and start asking for help on different parts of it. I know I want to have a house. I don't know how to drive a home. Say it
Are
again?
you married?
No.
Okay.
The panel is over. We're here till 10. Keep connecting, keep networking. There's still some wine. There is no more food. And there will be some music. And actually, just a curator note, I don't think any of y'all have gone upstairs yet. And if there's, please, nobody reacted. Is anybody averse to those? Okay. This is the gallery assistant. So as you can see, he's the best one. Wait until the security comes. Security is a little bit harder. But see how life works behind me. Security is this big. So if you've ever heard the barking throughout the night, that wasn't security. That wasn't right. That's a church man. He's just trying to play fetch. If you never heard the ball, he just chilling.